So at like certain points during the day, do you ever just think about how like life might not even be real? I do, at least once a day. Every single day I question as to whether or not this life that I supposedly experience is something that's actually legit. And one of those things that keeps that going is like the idea of solipsism. Like basically, Descartes like I think therefore I am shit. And I feel like I can make good arguments as to why you should believe it and as to why you shouldn't believe it. So then I'm kind of lost and I don't really know what to do and I don't really know how I perceive my existence within this reality. But like, okay, I don't know. I'll just like throw off like some things that I've been thinking about it for like quite some time. Okay. So if you say I think, therefore I am, as in like you're the only person that can know that like you exist, then to what extent does that like apply? Because like if you're saying, oh, you can doubt everything, but you can't doubt the fact that you're doubting, because if you're doubting that you're doubting, then like you're still doubting. Who gets to take ownership of that? Because like it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like main character syndrome, I guess. Because it's like, okay, if I'm saying I think therefore I am and you're saying I think therefore I am, then like what is actually the truth? Then like in a sense, then can't we all like, take from that narrative that like, okay, you can doubt how all humans perceive things, but perhaps you can say that all humans actually exist. But no, you're only claiming that you apparently exist. And if you're trying to convince people that you can only know that you exist, then you're trying to convince them that the only information that you can supposedly know is something that only you know, that you're trying to tell them that they can also know themselves for themselves. Like, I don't get it. Like, who gets to claim that then? But like also at the same time, if this was really all just like happening inside of my mind, then like why don't I have something better? Because like you've heard me say it like so many fucking times. Like this world's a piece of shit. I want something more enjoyable. I want something more, I don't know, like engaging than this. Like I would make my existence something greater than this boring, stupid fucking like reality. I would make all my fantasies essentially come to life if like this is all just like the distortion in my brain, me experiencing myself, me tricking myself into thinking that I'm experiencing this. Okay, but maybe that's okay. That's part of it then. If I'm just tricking myself, then like okay, maybe I want to suffer. Because like okay, regardless of whether like you're like an optimist or like a pessimist, you can't deny that there's so many, horrible shit in the world. Like okay, even if you don't think about it often, like it's there. So then like doesn't that mean that like essentially okay, we're just people that like to torture ourselves if this is all of our own doing, or we're people that like to create these like delusions of like discipline and overcoming something, so we created false narratives of like suffering when it's all actually just stupid and like we're all gonna like die. Okay, and like speaking of which, is death something that I only perceive within like my own mind then? So do I truly die? Because if the concept of everything, like all the concepts just like exist within my mind, then like essentially is death not even real? Is like death as false as like life itself? But then like okay, here's the thing. Even if like the external world is like separate, is it possible to argue that, for example, okay, it can still technically be true that everything is only within the mind while also existing within like an external reality? Because the more that I've also thought about this, like okay, even if there is an external reality, it's translated and filtered like through my own like perception of it. Because like I have a hard time thinking about how I'm supposed to look outside of like my own perspective. So like even if, let's say hypothetically, that the external world is separate from my perception of that like external world, then how much of it is the filter within how what I plaster onto this external world and like the external world itself? So even if the external world does exist, it might as well technically not exist within the experience of how we're like actually perceiving things. I don't know. It all just like fucking like like puts my brain in a fucking blender. Then it's like okay, how do I account for like all these like experiences, all of these like whatever, like none of it feels like it's real. But like is that what it is? Would that be the whole like narrative of something not being real, to not understand, so technically I get it? I don't know. Like I go through my life, I don't actually know if I'm going through it or just like I don't know, because like if we're all just ideas and concepts being like mushed in at like one point, then like what are memories, honestly? Because like the more I think about it, like okay, we're just here in this like blank and empty state, and we have to idealize the future or romanticize the past through nostalgia, good memories, like whatever, like we're just here and nothing is happening. So perhaps it is true that we only exist in nothing but concepts because everything here is, essentially like non-existent. That's why we have to like, talk about like ideas that like happened before or want to like improve things that may or may not like happen in the future, but it's fake. It's all conceptualization. So whether or not we are in it or not, then within this like conceptual realm, who cares, right? Like I don't know. I should just go through the motions, but then at the same time, it's like okay, what does that mean? But aha, that's the catalyst. Asking what it means just for having so many concepts, because yeah, concepts, conceptualization, like there you go. No answers, just a perceived idea. So okay, whether life is or isn't actually real, it's still and kind of like what I mentioned before in terms of how like okay, even if there is an external world, if we can only filter it like through our like minds, quote unquote, it may as well be that. Then like okay, whether life is or isn't, like actually real, I will never be able to think that it's real or not real because I can just focus on thinking whether it is or isn't real. And regardless of like which one of that I go, it's the delusion. So maybe it's more so that it's not real. But then again, that's still the question. That's still the doubt without any actual answers. So yeah, there you go. I guess that's all I had to say about that.